The Taking of Lungtungpen by Rudyard Kipling. Narrated by Robin Nixon. So we loosed a blooming volley, and we made the beggar's cut, and when our pouch was emptied out, we used the blooming butt. Oh my, didn't you come anigh, when Tommy is a-playing with the bayonet and the butt. Barrack Room Ballad. My friend, Private Mulvaney, told me this, sitting on the parapet of the road to Dagshay, when we were hunting butterflies together. He had theories about the army, and coloured clay pipes perfectly. He said that the young soldier is the best to work with on account of the surpassing innocence of the child. "Now listen," said Mulvaney, throwing himself full length on the wall in the sun. "I'm a born Scot of the barrack room. The army's mating drunk to me, 'cause I'm one of the few that can't quit it. I've put in 17 years and the pipe clay's in the marrow of me. If I could have kept out of one big drink a month, I would have been a Henry lieutenant by this time, a nuisance to me betters, a laughing stock to me equals, and a curse to myself. Being what I am, I'm Private Mulvaney, with no good conduct pay and a devouring thirst. Always barring me little friend Bob's Bahuda, I know as much about the army as most men." I said something here. "Wolsey be shot. Between you and me and that butterfly net, he's a rambling, incoherent sort of a devil, with one eye on the cane of the court and the other on his blessed self, everlastingly playing Caesar on Alexandria rolled into a lump. Now, Bobs is a sensible little man. With Bobs and a few 3-year-olds, I'd sweep me army of the earth into a towel and throw it in afterwards. Faith, I'm not joking. 'Tis the boys, the raw boys. They don't know what a bullet means. I wouldn't care if they did. They do the work. They're crammed with bullmeat till they fairly ramps with good living, and then if they don't fight, they blow each other's heads off. 'Tis the truth, I'm telling you. They should be kept on water and rice in the hot weather, but there'd be mutiny if 'twas done. Did you ever hear how Private Mulvaney took the town of Lungtungpen? I thought not. 'Twas the lieutenant got the credit, but 'twas me planned the scheme. A little before I was invalided from Burma, me and 24 young ones, under a Lieutenant Brezinos, was ruining our digestions, trying to catch dacoits, and such double-ended devils I never knew. 'Tis only a dar and a snidna that makes a dacoit. Without them, he's a peaceful cultivator and a felony for the shite. We hunted and we took fever and elephants now and again, but no dacoits. Eventually, we puck around one man. "Treat him tenderly," says a lieutenant. So I took him away into the jungle with the Burmese interpreter and me cleaning rod. Says I to the man, "Me peaceful squiring," says I. "You shut in your hunkers and demonstrate to my friend here where your friends are when they're at home." With that, I introduced him to the cleaning rod, and he come to the job of the interpreter interpreting, and in-betweens and me helping the intelligence department with me cleaning rod when the man misremembered. Presently I learned that across the river, about 9 miles away, was a town just dripping with daws and bows and arrows and dacoits and elephants and jungles, and "Good," says I, "this office will now close." That night I went to the lieutenant and communicates my information. I never thought much of Lieutenant Brezinos till that night. He was a stiff with the books and theories and all manner of trimmings and no matter of use. "A town, did ye say?" says he. "According to the theories of war, we should wait for the reinforcements. Faith, thinks I, we better dig our graves then, for the nearest troops was up at their stocks in the marshes out Mimbo way. But, says the lieutenant, since 'tis a special case, I'll make an exception. We'll visit this Lungtungpen tonight." The boys was fairly wild with delight when I told them, and by this and that they went through the jungle like buck rabbits. About midnight, we come to the stream where I'd clean forgotten to mention to my officer. I was on ahead with 4 boys, and I thought the lieutenant might want to theorise. "Strip, boys," says I. "Strip to the buff and swim in where glory waits." "But I can't swim," says 2 of them. To think, I should live to hear that from a boy with a board school education. Says I, "Take a lump of timber and me and Connolly here will ferry over you young ladies." We got an old tree trunk and pushed off with the kits and the rifles on it. The night was choking dark, and just as we was fairly embarked, I heard the lieutenant behind me calling out, "There's a bit of a nullah here, sir," says I, "but I can feel the bottom already." So I could, for I was not a yard from the bank. "Bit of a nullah, bit of an estuary," says the lieutenant. "Go on, you mad Irishman. Strip, boys." I heard him laugh, and the boys began stripping and roiling and logging to the weather to put their kits on. So me and Connolly struck out through the warm weather with our log, and the rest came on behind. That stream was miles wide. Othris on the rear rank log whispers we had got into the Thames below Sheerness by mistake. Keep on swimming, you little blaggard, says I, and don't go poking your dirty little jokes at the Irrawaddy. "Silence, men," sings out the lieutenant. So we swam under the black dark, with our chests to the logs, trusting in the saints and the luck of the British Army. Eventually, we hit ground, a bit of sand, and a man. He put me heel on the back of him. He screeched and ran. "Now we've done it," says Lieutenant Brasenose. "Where the devil is Lungtungpen?" "There's about a minute and a half to wait." The boys laid a hold of their rifles, and some tried to put their belts on. We was marching with fixed bayonets, of course. Then we knew where Lungtungpen was, for we had hit the river wall of it in the dock, and the old town blazed, with them missing jingles and sniders like a cat's back on a frosty night. They was firing all the ways at once, but over our heads into the stream. "Have you got your rifle?" says Brasenose. "I got him," says Otris. "I've got that thief Mulvaney's for me old baypack, and she'll kick me heart sick with that blundering long stock of hers." "Oh, go on," yells Brasenose, whipping his sword out. "Go on and take the time, and the Lord have mercy on our souls." And then the boys gave one disgusting howl and pranced into the dark, failing for the time and blinding and stiffing like cavalry riding masters when the grass pricking their bare legs. I hammered with the butt at some bamboo thing that felt weak, and the rest came and hammered contagious, while the jingles was jingling, and ferocious yells from inside was splitting our ears. We was tight close under the wall for them to hurt us. Eventually, the thing, whatever it was, broke, and the 6 and 20 of us tumbled, one after the other, naked as we was born into the town of Lungtungpen. There was a melee of a sumptuous kind of for a while, but whether they took us all white and wet for a new breed and devil, or a new kind of dacoit, I don't know. They ran us through when we was both, and we went into them bayonet and butt shrieking, wide laughing. There was torches in the streets, and I saw the little Arthurus rubbing his shoulder every time he loosed my little stock martini, and Brasenose walking into the gang with his sword like Diarmid of the Golden Collar, barring he hadn't a stitch of clothing on him. We discovered elephants with the kites under their bellies, and that one thing and another, we was busy till morning taking possession of the town of Lungtungpen. Then we halted up and formed up, the women howling in the houses, and Lieutenant Brasenose blushing pink in the light of the morning sun. It was the most undecent parade I ever took a hand on. 25 privates and an officer of the line in review order, and not as much as would a dust of fife between them all in the way of clothing. 8 of us had their belts and pouches on, but the rest had gone in with a handful of cartridges in the skin God gave them. They was as naked as Venus. "A number off from the right," says the lieutenant. "Odd numbers fall out to dress, even numbers patrol the town till relieved by the dressing party." Let me tell ye, patrolling a town with nothing on is an experience. I patrolled for 10 minutes, and begad, before it was over I blushed. The women laughed so. I never blushed before or since, but I blushed all over me carcass then. Arthurus didn't patrol. He says only, "Portsmouth Barracks in the hour of the Sunday." Then he lay down and roiled in ways with laughing. When we was all dressed, we counted the dead, 75 dacoits besides wounded. We took 5 elephants, 170 sniders, 200 dars, and a lot of other buglarious truck. Not a man of us was hurt, except maybe a lieutenant, and he from the shock to his decency. The head man of Lungtungpen, who surrendered himself, asked the interpreter, "If the English fight like that with their clothes off, what in the world do they do with their clothes on?" Arthurus began rolling his eyes and cracking his fingers and dancing a step dance for to impress the headman. He ran to his house, and we spent the rest of the day carrying the lieutenant on our shoulders round the town and playing with the Burmese babies, fat, little brown little devils as pretty as pictures. When I was invalided for the dysentery to India, I says to the lieutenant, "Sir," says I, "you've the makings in you of a great man, but have you let an old sodger speak? You're too fond of the horizon." He shook hands with me and says, "Hit high, hit low. There's no plays in you, Mulvaney. You've seen me waltzing through Lungtungpen like a red Indian without the war paint, and you say I'm too fond of the horizon." "Sir," says I, for I loved the boy, "I would waltz with you in that condition through hell, and so would the rest of the men." Then I went downstream in the flat and left him my blessing. May the saints carry it where it should go, for he was a fine upstanding young officer. To resume, what I've said just shows the use of 3-year-olds. Would 50 seasoned soldiers have taken Lungtungpen in the dark that way? No. They know the risk of fever and chill, let alone the shooting. 200 might have done it, but the 3-year-olds know little and care less, and where there's no fear, there's no danger. Catch them young, feed them high, and by the honour of that great little man, Bobs, behind a good officer, 'tisn't only dacoits they'd smash with their clothes off, 'tis continental armies. They took Lungtungpen naked, and they'd take St. Petersburg in their jaws. Becat, they would that. Here is your pipe, sir. Smoke her tenderly with honeydew, after letting the reek of the canteen plug die away. but 'tis no good, thanks to ye all the same filling me pouch with your chopped hay. Canteen baccy's like the army. It spoils a man's taste for milder things." So saying, Mulvaney took up his butterfly net and returned to barracks.